Hey everyone, coming to you from the kitchen once again. I am actually working on another batch of syrup. I cooked down, I finished batch number, what was that? Batch number 3. Did batch number 3 earlier. I'd done the cooking outside. That one I did on a propane turkey fryer. And then I brought it inside, put it in the fridge, and then I finished cooking it off today because yesterday and today I got a hydrometer. So it finally came so I can do this properly without having to just go by rough temperature. I can do it a little bit more proper. So let me show you that. So right here is the hydrometer, and I have it in a thermos with hot water. You kind of want to keep it hot because you're going to fill this with hot syrup / sap. It's going to go into there, and then you drop that in there, and you don't want it to go from hot to cold, cold to hot, otherwise this glass will break. It is very fragile. It has lead in the bottom there, and it's a buoyancy measurement. You can see there's a brick scale and a Brom scale. This is the Brom, this is the bricks, and the two red lines, the top one here, closest to my finger, is for the hot measurement, and the bottom one is for the cold measurement. So I have that soaking in hot water. I just tested it, still not good enough here. So this is another batch that I cooked down today. This is batch, hang on, you can see here I have one of my meat thermometers in here. I kind of have it rigged up. I gotta be very careful because if it goes too low, it touches the bottom, then I get a false reading. So I kind of have a weird setup going here to kind of, it works. So that's all I gotta care about, is it does work. So keeping an eye on that. It's still a little too watery. It's not ready yet. I'll show you the batch that I made earlier today. So this right here is batch number 3. Nice color to it. A little cloudy. I only did a filter with a cheesecloth. Let me turn this off. Actually, we're starting to get some bubble in there, so I might want to start paying attention. But this turned out really well. It's got good body to it. The flavor is fantastic. So I actually got 2 of those and a little extra. And the little extra I actually dumped back into this. Let me turn this down just a little bit so I have a little bit more leeway. And this way I can show you how this kind of all works here. So this apparently moves. Actually, I gotta turn the oven on here for, I have some fresh bottles in the oven, so I just gotta sterilize them real quick. So we'll pour some in here. I don't think we're there yet because this was a 5-gallon batch that I boiled off, and I think I have way too much right now to be proper. I think it still has a lot of cooking left to go. So you kind of have to play with the headspace here with how much you put in. So it's a little trial and error. When you put this in, you have to be very careful because, again, it is fragile. If you drop it in, this paper can actually shift, and you don't want that. Otherwise, you'll mess up your readings in the future. There we go. And so I push it all the way down, and it will float back up if it's ready. And it has actually not moved at all, so it is. We still have some time. So I have a damp paper towel here. You should wipe it down. This way the sugar doesn't build up and affect the weight. I have water in there, so the water helps clean that off, and then dump back in. And we're really at a rinse and repeat session here. In order to get this right, you just got to kind of rinse and repeat until that floats. So I'll tune this back in when we're at that point. Okay, what I will say is when you get closer to the bottom, it goes very fast. So it's important not to wait too long in between checks. I do have the thermometer on it. I'm monitoring it, but this is the more precise way to do it. This looks like it's starting to thicken up. I just measured it before turning this on and it was still too thin. Oh, we might be... Nope, we are still too thin. I got very lucky. That almost went over. Whoop, that's gonna stink. Essentially, I'm recording every time that I check this because the last one I did earlier today, it went so fast that all of a sudden it was ready to go. So I don't want to make the mistake of missing what I'm trying to show with the hydrometer. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to thicken up here. Alright, so we're going to check this. Not too much. Which, as it cooks, as it gets thicker, you need less in this little beaker. Okay, it's still sinking, but we are getting much closer. It's going down slower. It's very important not to drop this in. What's interesting is this batch almost smells like a campfire. It's a darker, it already looks darker. I'll be interested to put it side by side with the earlier batch that was propane. I have read that some people say that wood-fired cooking of sap gives you a darker syrup. I guess we'll surely be testing it here. A little bit more. So what I tend to do is I tend to push it down and let it pop up, which it just did, and we are like a line away from where it needs to be. So let me quickly clean this off. I'm going to turn off the stove because I'm pretty sure we are there. All right, let's do one final test. Oops, I didn't pour that one back in, did I? Whoopsie poopsie. All right. Sure we are done. So the heat is off right now. It's so close. Okay, that might be too much. Okay. Still too much. You notice because it's getting thicker, you need less in here because it'll just come rushing out. Push it down, and we're at the red line. Actually, I'm a little over, which I was on my other one before, so you can see it bounces right back. If I bump it, it'll float right back up. So we are good to go. This was, I think, 4.5, real close to 5 gallons of sap this morning. Now, typically, everything I've read about bottling, you are going to want... Oh, man, I almost forgot the important stuff. There's more in this test tube. I completely forgot about that. Typically, the bottling, you want this stuff at around 180 to 190 degrees before you put it in the bottle. The reason why you're seeing me put this in a mason jar before the bottles I'm going to permanently bottle it in is because the funnel that I would be using would be easier to fill these little bottles, but it didn't come yet. somehow lovely Amazon Prime decided not to ship them all together or within relatively close time periods, so I'm working with what I have. And it's actually pretty easy to pour from this jar into here, so that is what I'm doing. I have my one-time use caps here that came with the bottles. These bottles are from North Mountain Supply. I read some reviews on Amazon that theirs came broken. A couple came broken in the box. Mine came very well packed, didn't have any issues, so I would recommend them for anybody else that wants to try them. These are the 8-ounce bottles. They come in a pack of a dozen, and I think it comes out to about $2 a piece. This is also just cheesecloth. Actually, I'm really a fan of this cheesecloth because it's a hemmed. I'll put a link down in the description to everything that I used for this batch. This cheesecloth is nice. It's not frayed. It has a nice hemmed edge on it. You get 3 of these squares in the pack, which was really, really nice. And I carefully, not burning myself, I carefully fill it. How did I do this before? All right. When I get the funnel, this will be a lot easier. I will be able to skip this step of putting it in the jar. And I'll be able to filter right in the little funnel that's coming. All right, so I know I need to go a little higher than I did before, right there. Okay, that's one. Let me put the cap on, not touch it with my bare hand like I did last time. We'll see how much comes out of that. So that is dark, and you lay it on its side for 15 minutes. I'll start that when I do the next one. How much is in there? It's not going to be a full 8 ounce, so I am not going to bother using that. I'm just going to put it in a mason jar, a smaller jar, because it's not a full 8 ounces, and I'm not going to waste a jar like that. So we'll just pour this in here. This will be for our use here at home. This is actually a really cool tool. It comes with a wide mouth and a regular mouth can seals, a vacuum sealer manual. It also comes with an attachment to go to a food saver vacuum sealer. You just simply put it on, you line the holes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They say 10 to 30, and then you just, it's sealed. So let me take it off that way. And there we go. It's already popped, so I don't have to lay that on its side. And we're done. Alrighty, so the finished product is the one here on the right hand side. You can see that is significantly darker than the one on the left. This one, these were probably cooked, I'd have to double check here, but not that many days apart. This was 100% on propane and finished on the electric stove. This one was done 100% over a rocket stove kind of batch box thing that I built, which I'll overlay here. All right, update for out here. It is a super windy day today, so I am losing a bunch of energy around the pot every time the wind blows, so there's that. But we are doing a good job keeping right at boiling temp there. I'm sure this is not 100% exact, so it might be just a little low, but we got a good boil going, and I just threw more wood on the fire. Got a nice flame going in there, nice and hot. So this little stove, I'm going to say, is a success, and I just have to determine whether I want to keep it dry fit so that I can move it around, or if I want to find a more permanent space to put it, like right in the dirt or something like that. So right now I know I'm not damaging the cement because of the fire brick underneath, so we're just gonna keep plugging away at it for now. So this could be one of two things. Number one, it means that doing it over the fire does make it darker, adds a little bit of smoke, whatever's in the air. I could see that. The other thing it could mean is that our sap season is about to come to a screeching halt, because this is more recent sap that I pulled. I think I had some from this morning was put into this batch. So it could mean we're about to have an end to the season here soon, or it's just because I did it over the fire, or both. Who knows? I have no idea. But I'm very happy. I actually have some labels coming that I had made up, and we'll see if I can maybe kick things into full swing for next year so that I can actually maybe sell a few of these bottles. You never know. But that's all I got for this time, so thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about this, anything that I might have learned along the way that you think that I should share with you, or something you'd like to see me do, explain a little bit more, just let me know. What's the worst I can say? No, and not make a video? That probably is not the worst thing I could say, but it's probably the more likely scenario. So that's all I got. See you next time.